Welcome back to Mr. Hassan's Maths channel, and I'm now going to be going through a paper 4 from the new 2020 specification of the IGCSE Cambridge International Examinations. And this is the new syllabus. This is the specimen paper that they gave out, which basically gives some of the questions which are according to the new syllabus. So paper 4s are pretty long, 2.5 hours long. Okay, there's about 10 questions, but each question there's normally between 10 to 12 questions, and each question normally has lots of parts. It goes into a bit more detail than paper 2, which is normally about 20 kind of short questions. So these are like 10 questions, but lots of parts of them. It goes a bit deeper, and it's 2.5 hours, and it's worth 130 marks. So it's like 65% of your exam would be based on your paper 4, and 35% of it would be based on your paper 2. Okay, so now let's get on with it. The first question normally in paper 4 is some sort of question about percentages, ratios, and these kind of arithmetic kind of topics. So the first question here says Christian and Stephanie share some money in the ratio 3:2. So you got Christian and Stephanie in the ratio 3:2. All right. Christian receives $72. Work how much Stephanie receives. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll make a bit of space here. I can't actually now, can I? Anyway, I'll do it this way. All right, so we know the ratio is 3 for Christian and 2 for Stephanie. Sometimes they say respectively, meaning in the same order. All right, anyway, so Christian receives $72 and Stephanie receives X dollars. So basically, we can just do some cross multiplication here. Say X is equal to 72 times 2 divided by 3, and that will give us our answer. Simple as that. Okay, or you could say 3 times something gave me 72, and so we have to multiply 2 by the same thing. So when you divide 72 by 3, it will tell you what number you need to multiply 2 by to give you what Stephanie gets. Okay, so it's basically the same thing as doing this. It's just thinking about it in a slightly different way, that's all. So we have here, let's do it that way. 72 divided by 3 gives us 24. So we got to multiply 2 by 24. So times 2 gives us 48. Okay, so you have $48. And of course, this would give us the same answer. 72 times 2. 72 times 2 over 3, and that gives us 48. Okay, so this like same kind of thing, just a different way of looking at it. Now Christian spends 45% of his $72 on a computer game. Calculate the price of the computer game. Okay, now in this case here, let me just get the pen back as I want it. Okay, so basically, what they're asking us to find is what is 45% of 72. Okay, so 45% of 72 is 45 over 100 multiplied by 72, and that will give you the price of the computer game. Simple as that. Okay, so the price of the computer game is 45% of 72. So we can just do 0.45, which is the same as 45 over 100, times multiplied by 72. And that gives us 162 over 5, which gives us 32.4. So you have 32.4. Now, this is an exact answer, but it's not an integer. Normally, if it wasn't money, we would give the exact answer as it is. Okay, exactly as this, 32.4. But with currency, if the answer is not an integer, we must round to 2 decimal places. So even though there's no second decimal place, we put a 0 there to show that it's currency basically. That's how you have to deal with currency. All right, now don't start saying, oh, okay, I've got to put this as 48.00. No. If it's an integer answer, you leave it as it is. Okay, you don't put 0.00 if it's an integer. But if it's not an integer, if it's 1 decimal place or more decimal places, you round it to 2 decimal places. If it doesn't go up to 2 decimal places, you put the extra 0 there, but that's only if it was a decimal with 1 decimal place first. If it's a whole number, an integer, you don't put 0.00. Okay, that's a very important point. People get confused with that. They start putting 0.00 for integers as well. Okay, but of course, what overrides all of that, if, for example, if they say give the answer to the nearest pound or the nearest dollar or the nearest $10 or whatever, then of course you do what they say. Now, part 3. Christian also buys a meal for $8.40. Calculate the fraction of the 72 Christian has left after buying the computer game and the meal. So first of all, let's work out what he's got left. So what he's got left is 72 minus what he spent, which is 32.4 plus 8.4. That's what he spent, and that's what he had. So this is gonna tell us what he's got left, not the percent, not the fraction, but just the amount. So we have 72 take away in brackets the sum of what he spent, 32.4 plus 8.4, and that gives us 31.2. So he's got left $31.2. Okay, and we want to find this as a fraction of the $72 he had. So you have to divide it by 72. 31.2 divided by 72. Now this is not in its simplest form because you can't have a fraction and a decimal as part of it. So let's multiply by 10. We could have also multiplied by 5. That would have got rid of this. But let's multiply by 10 because it seems a bit easier to do that. So 312 over 720. And then you can simplify this, find the factors that go into both of them. I'm just going to stick in the calculator. 312 over 720. And that gives us 13 over 30. 13 over 30. That's now in its simplest form. Okay, so that's what he's got left after spending this much money as a fraction of what he had in the beginning, which was 72, and in its simplest form. Okay, now Stephanie buys a book in a sale for $19.20. This sale price is a reduction of 20%. Calculate the original price of the book. Okay, now this is a type of question in which a lot of students make a very fundamental mistake. And that mistake is they think that they can find 20% of 19.2 and the amount they get, add it to 19.2, and they've got the answer because they think, okay, it's gone down by 20%. So if we find 20% of 19.2 and add that to 19.2, we're going to increase it by 20%. But that's not the right way to deal with this, because the amount that 20% has been reduced from is a bigger amount than 19.2. So it was a number bigger than 19.2. That 20% of that number was taken away from that number to give you 19.2. And 20% of a number which is bigger than 19.2 is not the same as 20% of 19.2. So this is why that method is wrong, and you will lose marks, and you'll get the answer wrong. So there's two methods that you can use. One is a very purely type of algebraic method, and the other one is a kind of visual type of method. They're both the same thing basically, but in any case, it says reduction of 20%. That means the new price, okay, which is 19.2, is the result of the old price being reduced by 20%. So let's call the old price X. If the old price is X, then we want to reduce this price by 20%. That means it's 100% minus 20%, which gives you 80%. The new price is 80% of the old price. Okay, the new price is 80% of the old price. So if you do 80% as a fraction, as a decimal, you get 0.8. So 0.8 times X, that reduces X by 20%. 0.8 times X is X reduced by 20%, and we know that's equal to 19.2. So X will be 19.2 over 0.8. And that will be our answer. Okay, 19.2 over 0.8. And there is our answer, which is $24. Okay, again, we don't write 24.00. Okay, another method we can use, and I like this method a lot, before and after. It's like a visual method. before and after. Okay, so we're trying to find the price before the sale, sorry. So the price before, we're going to call it X, we don't know what it is. And we consider that the normal price, we call that 100%. And the price after the sale, we know it's 19.2. And we know that this is a reduction of 20%. So this means that this is 100 minus 20, which is 80% of what it was. So if you want to find X, we can just simply cross multiply 100 times 19.2, 100 times 19.2 divided by 80. You don't have to write the percent parts because they will cancel. And of course, this will give us the same answer, just to make sure and to show you. 100 multiplied by 19.2, 19.2 divided by 80. And that gives us 24, the same answer. Okay, don't put 0.00 because this is an integer answer, and that's how we're supposed to leave it. Okay, so those questions are about ratio and percentages, and there's also another question, part B. Okay, I'll just do this whole question as one big question, ratio and percentages. This is actually about interest, and this question is about simple interest. It says Boris invests $550 at a rate of 2% per year, simple interest. Calculate the value of the investment at the end of 10 years. So for simple interest, what we have is a formula, which is I, interest earned, is equal to P, which is the principal, the amount invested, times R, which is the rate, which is just the rate, the number without the percentage, times T, which is the number of years, over 100. Okay, and the value of the investment is the value of the original amount plus the interest. So in simple interest, you got to find the value of the investment, you've got to take the original investment and add the interest to it. And that will give you the value of the new investment in simple interest. So here, as we said, the principal is 550. That's the amount that was invested. The rate is 2%. We just write the 2 because this 100 takes care of the percent part. That's what the 100 is there for. And T, we make sure that it's in years, which it is, and we write that as in the number of years. If it was in months, we have to convert it to years by dividing by 12. Okay, so now, that means the interest part is going to be 550 times 2 times 10 over 100. Okay, that cancels with that, that cancels with that. You're left with 55 times 2, which is 110. So therefore, the value is going to be 550 plus 110, which is $660. Simple as that. Okay, simple interest, pretty simple. Then it says, Marlene invests $550, same amount, at a rate of 1.9% per year. Now this time, this is compound interest. Now compound interest is different, okay, because with simple interest, it's just 2% of the original amount every single year added to the account, basically. But with simple interest, it's 1.9% of the amount at the end of the previous year. So 550 gets raised by 1.9%. And then the new amount gets raised by 1.9%. And then the new amount gets raised by 1.9% altogether for 10 years. And basically what's going to happen is you're going to increase. When you increase something by a certain percentage, you add the percent to 100%. Okay, just like with the discount, we take away from 100%. When you're increasing, you increase by that percentage. So this is going to be 101.9%. Okay, so that's how much it increases by every year. The 550 is increased by, or its value is, it's not increased by, the value of 550, okay, becomes 109% of itself at the second year. Okay, so that's how it increases by 1.9%. This as a multiplying factor is 1.019. So 1.019 multiplied by 550 will increase 550 by 1.9%. But that will only be one time. We have to do it altogether 10 times. So basically this is going to get multiplied by 1.019, this whole thing. And then that answer is going to get multiplied by 1.019 and again for 10 times. Now, of course, we're not going to be doing that manually, but what you can understand is basically what you'll end up with is this multiplied 10 times by 550. So it's the same as writing that 1.019 to the power of 10 times 550, and that will give you the new value. Okay, so this is actually, the compound interest formula, but just done through, without memorizing, but just done through understanding. I'm going to show you how to use a formula as well, because that is important, but it's nice to understand how those formulas are formed. So anyway, you have 1.019 to the power of 10, and then multiplied by 550, and that will give you the amount after 10 years, 663.9028. I'll write that down here, 663.9082, continues on like that. Now this has to be rounded, 9028, sorry. Be careful, 9028. Let's just make sure of that. Yep, okay. So we have to round this. It doesn't say anything about how to round it to the nearest anything. Yes, so we have to round it to 2 decimal places because it's currency. So you get 663.90. You should write the 0 to show that you round it to 2 decimal places. And there's the answer. Now, a lot of people memorize a formula which is a new value. So this doesn't tell you the extra, it tells you the whole new value. With the simple interest, that formula PRT over 100 told you just the interest part, and you had to add it to the original value. But the new value is equal to the principal, which is a 550 times 1 plus R over 100 to the power of n. So some people memorize this formula, and what we've done there is basically use the formula. That's what we've done. So this is going to be P, which is 550, times 1 plus R, which was 1.9. We just write the R without the percent because you have the 100 there for the percent, to the power of 10. Okay, so this 1.9, 1 plus 1.9 over 100 is going to give you basically going to be 1.019. So it will be 550 times 1. And you'll end up with getting 50 multiplied by 1.019 to the power of 10, which is exactly what we had here. So that you'll end up with the same thing. I just did that without memorizing a formula. Okay, so of course it's going to give you the same answer. Part D says Hans invested $550 at a rate of X% per year, compound interest. At the end of 10 years, the value of the investment is 638.30, correct to the nearest cent. Find the value of X. So basically here, we don't know what R is, but we know that it's increased, the 550 increased and became 638.3 over 10 years. So if we think about it in the same way, it's a X% increase. Okay, and X% is basically 0.01x. That's what X% is. Okay, you just move the decimal point 0.2 spaces. So this is like 1x, and you move the decimal point back 2 spaces. That's like x over 100. Okay, you could even write it as x over 100. We don't have to do this. X over 100 if you want. That might be a bit more understandable. So this is like x divided by 100. Okay, so you're going to multiply the 500 by 1 plus x over 100. Okay, that's 1 plus. That's going to be increasing it by 100%. So it's going to be 100% plus x over 100. So you end up with 1 plus x over 100, which looks similar to the formula there. Okay, to the power of 10. And that becomes 638.3. Okay, if it's raised, if you increase that amount by this is the percentage, this is your R, we can find what that R is now. So we can divide both sides by 550. So you have 1 plus x over 100 all to the power of 10 is equal to 638.3 over 550. Now we want to get rid of this power of 10. So we have to take the 10th root of both sides. So you have x over 100, 1 plus x over 100 is equal to, not the square root, but the 10th root of 638.3 over 550. And let me just put a line there so we can continue. So then we want to find what x is. So let's just find the 10th root of this. So we got 638. So we got the 10th root. So we're going to press shift and this and 10. That's the 10th root. And inside you're going to have a fraction, 638.3 divided by 550. And that gives you 1.01. I'll just write it over here, 1.01. So you have 1 plus x over 100 equals 1.01500. So 1 plus x over 100 is equal to 0.01500. Let me just make sure. 0.01500, yeah. So it continues like that. I've written it to a few decimal places, not exact answer. Then we got to do x over 100 is equal to, you've got to, what was the answer there? Sorry, that was 1 point. Sorry about that. 1 second. Okay, yeah, so you have 1.015. That was the answer there. I wrote it as 0 point. Be careful about silly mistakes like that. So you got to take away 1 from both sides. Then it becomes, once you take away 0 from both sides, then it becomes 0.01500. And then we multiply by 100. So the decimal point moves 2 spaces to the right. So you end up with 1, 2. So you have 1.50. Give your answer to three significant figures. It's not money here, so you can write x equals 1.50. You should write the 0 because this wasn't an exact answer. So you should write the 0 at the end to show that you've rounded to 3SF, because this is not actually money. This is the rate. So it's like a percent. So it's not necessary for you. I mean, it's not currency. So you don't. Although it becomes 2 decimal places the same thing, but in your head, it's not 2 decimal places. That's 3 significant figures. All non-exact answers should be given to 3 significant figures. Okay, I think that was the last question. Let me just make sure. Yep. Okay, so that's question number 1 completed. Other questions shall be found on the playlist that will appear somewhere in this area. And there will be another playlist appearing in this area, which is for the topic of percentages and ratios. And then you should have your subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe if you wish. And if you click this icon, it will subscribe you. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.